Hey, Algebra 1 students, in this video today we'll be learning how to solve multivariable equations, okay? Multivariable equations. So obviously your heading for today is solving multivariable equations. Please copy that in your notes. Copy down lesson 3.7, that's the lesson for today. And also copy down today's date so that your notes are organized, okay? Solving multivariable equations, lesson 3.7. And be sure and copy down today's date. Now, let's start off by defining what a multivariable equation is, okay? Please copy this definition in your notes. It's a very simple definition, okay? A multivariable equation is an equation that has more than one variable. That's why it's called multivariable, more than one, okay? So that's a really simple definition. Go ahead and copy that down, please. A multivariable equation is an equation that has more than one variable. Okay? Has more than one variable. Now, here are some examples. Do not write this down. Just watch, please. Do not write this down. See this equation here? This is not a multivariable equation. We have an x and we have an x. That's the exact same variable. That's not a multivariable equation. Just because the x is in the equation twice does not make it a multivariable equation. A multivariable equation has more than one variable. Here's a multivariable equation, something like this. I have more than one variable, an x and a y. Here's a multivariable equation. The perimeter of a square. I have three variables, p, l, and w. Here is a multivariable equation if you want to write this down. Interest equals principal times rate times time. I have four variables. I, p, r, t, that's multivariable. If you have more than one variable, it's a multivariable equation, okay? Here's another example. Let's see. We have three variables, a, b, and h. Do you understand? A multivariable equation is an equation that has more than one variable. Got it? In the past, we've been solving linear equations, right? Well, all of those equations had how many variable? One. Now we're getting into multivariable equations. Now I want to be very clear. I'm going to teach you how to solve these types of equations today. I'm going to give you very clear, simple steps to use. If you'll follow these steps perfectly, you'll be fine. And I do mean perfectly. Do exactly what I say. If you try to get in a hurry and skip steps or try these on your own way, you might make mistakes, okay? So please do what I tell you to do and you'll be fine. I know that sounds a little arrogant, but I know what I'm doing, and if you'll follow these steps slowly and carefully, you'll be fine, okay? Here we go. Here are the steps. I'm going to go through them quickly, and then you can catch up and copy them down, okay? Step 1, I want you to simplify both sides of the equation. Step 2, eliminate all fractions. Now here's where it gets a little different. Step 3, and I'll explain what this means later, so right now just copy it down. I'll explain it to you later. Move all terms, keyword, that contain the variable you are solving for to one side. So move all of those terms to one side. Move all other terms to the other side. Simplify both sides of the equation. Again, isolate the coefficient. That should be variable. That is incorrect, and I apologize. Isolate the variable. Okay? Now, I'm going to move on, so you'll probably want to pause the video now, copy these down, then restart the video. Okay, now let's try these steps on some problems. Okay, I'm going to go through these really, really slow, and if you'll trust me and do what I say, you'll be fine. Okay? Here we go. Let's start off with this equation right here. Alright? A equals LW. A equals LW. Now, first of all, Notice I have to tell you what to solve for. Please copy this whole problem down. Copy this whole thing, please, okay? While I'm talking to you right now, copy this whole problem down. Notice I have to tell you what to solve for. Doesn't that make sense? It should make sense. If I didn't tell you to solve for L, you wouldn't know if you wanted to solve for A or L or W, okay? So, notice in all of these problems, I tell you what to solve for. It will always be that way, okay? Alright, moving on. Let's go through the steps I've given you, okay? Step 1 says, simplify both sides. Well, this is one term. I cannot simplify that at all. This is one term. Guys, you should know that by now. That's not two terms. If it said L plus W, that would be two terms. If it said L minus W, that would be two terms. Remember, positives and negatives divide an expression up into terms. Don't ever forget that. They're multiplying. That's one term. So there's really nothing I can do. I cannot simplify this, and I cannot simplify this. Step 2, eliminate fractions. I don't see any. Now, listen carefully to step 3. Move all of the terms that contain the variable you're solving for to one side. So here we go. What variable are we solving for? Everybody see it? L. Let me say that again. Or let me ask that again. What variable are we solving for? L. Go through and underline all the terms that have an L. This term does not have an L. This one does. So I want to get that term on one side and everything else on the other side. Well, guys, that's already done for you. I mean, this term has an L. You're like, wait, Mr. Earhart, there's a W right there. That's okay. That's not what step 3 says to do. Step 3 says move all of the terms, and this is a term right here because it's multiplying. Move all of the terms to one side that contain the variable you're solving for, and move everything else to the other side. This is the only term that I see that has an L in it, so make sure it's on one side. Make sure all the other terms are on the other side, and we did that. Now on to step 4, simplify both sides. Nothing I can do. So lastly, step 5, isolate the variable. Now what variable do I want to isolate? L. So if I want to isolate the L, what do I need to get rid of? W. Now you've learned you cannot rip a term apart and bring the W over and make it negative like this. When you move something from side to side, you have to move whole terms. So you know you can't do that. Well, we're going to divide. Look, what is the W doing to the L? It's multiplying, right? What's the opposite of multiply? Divide. So divide by W. Divide by W. Over here, these cancel, leaving you with L. And over here I have A over W. There I did it. I finished. I solved the equation for L. L is all by itself. Don't try to skip these steps, please. Please do not try to skip these steps, okay? Go through each one slowly and methodically and make sure you're doing it correctly. Alright, let's try another one. Practice, 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 okay? Alright, here we go. Step 1, we're solving for F, okay? Step 1, simplify both sides. So here we go. I cannot simplify this side, but over here I can multiply my 5/9 through. Positive times a positive is positive. 5/9 times a F is 5/9 F. Positive times a negative is negative. 5/9 times 32 is 160 over 9. How did I get that? Well, 5/9 times 32 over 1. 9 times 1 is 9. 5 times 32 is 160. Okay, so there we go. Now, let's see if I can simplify some more. This is an F term. This is a constant term. They are unlike terms, so I cannot combine them. So there's no more simplifying I can do. Step 1 is totally done. Step 2, eliminate fractions. Okay, I've got a 9 here and a 9 9 here. So my denominator's 9. So I'm going to multiply the entire equation like this by 9. 9 over 1. 9 times c is 9c. Now watch. 9 over 1 times 5 over 9. Your 9's would cancel, leaving you with 1 times 1 in the bottom. 1 times 5 is 5. So 5 over 1, or just 5, f. 9 over 1 times 160 over 9. It's a positive times a negative. Your 9 would cancel. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 160 is 160. So step 2 is completed. I've eliminated fractions. Now, step 3, simplify both sides again. Well, there's no simplifying I can do. Actually, that's not the next step, sorry. My fault. The next step is to move your terms around. Okay? If you look at step 3, it says move all of the terms that contain the variable you're solving for to one side. So, what am I solving for? F. How many terms have an F? This one doesn't, this one doesn't, but this one does. So I want to get this term on one side, everything else on the other side. So I'm going to pick up this negative 160 and bring it over. So now it's a positive 160. Of course, my 9 is still positive. And I bring down my 5f. Do you see what I did? Every single term that has an f is on one side. All the other terms that don't have an f are on the other side. Now, next step, simplify both sides. Well, you cannot simplify 5f. You cannot simplify this. They're unlike terms. This is a constant term. This is a c term. So I cannot simplify. So last step, isolate the variable. Now, what variable am I solving for? F. So I want to get f by itself. What is the 5 doing to the f? Multiplying. So we're going to divide each term by 5, okay? Just like this. And what do we get? Well, 160 divided by 5 is 32 plus 9/5 c. 9/5 c equals, your 5's cancel, f. Look at that, you did it. You got f all by itself. So that means you've solved for f. You've solved this equation for f. Good job, that's all there is to it. Okay, let's try another one. If I'm going too fast, back it up and watch it again, okay? That's one of the benefits of a video class. Okay, let's try another problem here. Alright, here we go. This is an I equals PRT, okay? We're solving for R. Here we go. Step 1, simplify both sides. Well, this is one term. There's nothing I can do with that. PRT, this is one term. Nothing I can do. Step 2, eliminate fractions. There are none. Step 3, find all the terms that have an R. Because you're solving for R. Find all the terms that have an R and get them on one side. Everything else on the other side. Well, how many terms do I have? Circle your terms. That's a term. And that's a term. Which one of those has an R? This one. All other terms must be on the other side, and they are. We're good. I mean, you don't want to move over a P or a T. This is one term. So this term has an R. Keep it on one side. All the other terms on the other side. Next step, simplify both sides again. Well, there's nothing I can do. On to your last step. Solve for R. So isolate the variable. Here's the variable you want to isolate, okay? So to get R by itself, we gotta divide by P and T. Alright, so here we go. P cancels, T cancels, and you're left with R. Now notice, students, when the P's cancel and the T's cancel, you're left with R, and there's your final answer, okay? I over PT equals R. You know you're done because R is all by itself. You've solved the equation for R. Okay, there it is. Let's try one more, then we'll go on to a couple more things, alright? Okay, here we go. We're going to solve this for Y, okay? simplify both sides completely. Alright? Well, I cannot simplify negative 14, okay? But I can simplify these two terms. They're both y terms. Positive 4 and negative 5, that's negative 1y. If you don't want to put the 1 there, you don't have to, okay? That's totally up to you. Moving on, step 2, eliminate fractions. There are none. Step 3, move all of the terms to one side that contain the variable that you're solving for. Move all of the terms to the other side, so circle your terms. There's a term, and there's a 1. You're solving for y. How many of these terms have a y? This one. So leave that there and bring the 3x over to the other side, okay? So I'm left with negative y equals negative 14 positive 3x. Bring the 3x over and make it positive, okay? Next step, simplify both sides. Nothing to simplify. Constant term, x term, you cannot combine those. Last step, isolate the variable. Now, you can do this a couple ways. Pretend there's a 1 right there, and you can divide everything by negative 1. And that's totally fine. That works. These cancel. Negative divided by a negative is positive. 14 divided by 1 is 14. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. 3x divided by 1 is 3x. Perfect. No problem. Okay? Another way to do it is this. Simply say to yourself, okay, I don't want this negative sign here. So go through and change all of your signs. Make this y positive. Make this 14 positive. And make this positive a negative. And that works too. And now your y is all by itself, so you've solved for y. If you will use these 5 steps, you will be fine. Totally fine. Now let's try something else, okay? I want you to solve this equation for x, and then find y when x is this right here. So we call this a 2-step problem, okay? A 2-step problem. First, we're going to solve the equation for x. So there it is, okay? Let's solve this for x. Step 1, simplify both sides. Take your 4, multiply it through. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times negative y, negative 4y. Bring down your 14x, positive 3. You cannot do any more simplifying. Nothing. Unlike terms. Step 2, eliminate your fractions. There are none. Step 3, get all of your variables that contain what you're solving for on one side. We're solving for x. So how many terms have an x? Just this one. So leave that there, bring the 3 over, make it negative, and you're good. So now I have negative 3, positive 20, negative 4y equals 14x. So every single term that has an x is on this side over here, okay? Now, next step, simplify both sides. You cannot simplify 14x, however, we can simplify these two constant terms right here. Positive 17, negative 4y. And now, last but not least, let's isolate the variable. Divide everything by 14. Okay, so 17 over 14 is simply 17 over 14. A negative over a positive is negative. 4 over 14 reduces to 2/7. Here the 14s cancel, leaving you with x. Now, I am not going to take time and do part 2, at least not all of it, okay? But part 1 is done. I have solved the equation for x. I'm finished. Check that off. Now I want you to find y when x is each one of these numbers. So in other words, we put these numbers in for, and I said this backwards, sorry. Sorry guys, please correct this. This is a really big deal, okay? When you copy this problem in your notes, this should say x right here. And this should say y. And I apologize for that, okay? There we go. So now we're going to put numbers in for y. For example, let's put negative 2 in for y, okay? 17 over 14. Negative 2/7. Parentheses negative 2 for y equals x. And let's solve this. Or simplify it. Negative times a negative is positive. 2 sevenths times 2 is 4 sevenths. And then you guys should know how to add this together, get a common denominator. A common denominator for 14 and 7 is 14. So this becomes an 8. Okay? And now 17 plus 8 is 25 over 14. And there we go. There's what x equals when y is negative 2. So then they would want you to do that for every single, no, we're not going to do that for all three, it takes too much time, but you get the point, okay? So you first solve the equation for x, and then put these numbers in one at a time and get out 4 different answers, okay? Alright, now, let's look at a couple more things and we're finally done. Are you ready? There are a couple of expressions that you must get used to, you have to, and you need to know what they mean, okay? Here's the first one. Write that in your notes. Write that in your notes, please. Whenever you hear this expression, write the equation so that y is a function of x. You need to know what that means. It means to solve the equation for y. It's that simple, guys. Can you not memorize that? That's so easy. Whenever I say write the equation so that y is a function of x, you know what that means? Solve the equation for y. It's that simple. Now what about the opposite of that? What about the opposite of that? What if I say to you, write the equation so that x is a function of y? Well, that simply means to solve the equation for x. Copy that in your notes, please, okay? And that's it, we're done. Okay? You need to know this. If I say write the equation so that y is a function of x, that means solve the equation for y. If I say I want the equation so that x is a function of y, that just means solve the equation for x. It's that simple. Okay? Guys, I hope this video has been a help to you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or email.